Hello everyone, welcome to lesson 32 of my PySimpleGUI lessons. In today's video, we're going to be learning how to select files. So selecting files is going to be something kind of like this. There's a browse button, and when we press it, we can go and select files. Alright, so let's get on with the code. Let's import the library and make the layout. In the layout, in order to have this button, this isn't a normal button right here. This button is not normal. We use its own element. It's called file browse. Okay, now file browse, and then after this, we have to have an input text element. This way, it prints out whatever we selected over here. Alright, and then after this, we can create the window. Print the event and values. And then closing the window. Okay, so now let's rerun this code. So now this is what we see. We can select different files. Alright, so that is basically how you select files. Now let's get onto some of the different attributes. So the first one we have is called button text. This affects the text on top of the button. Like if we name this file browse, then here it will say file browse. The default is just browse. Alright. After this, we have the target. So target is used when we have more than one input text element and the code is unsure where to put the value. So if we have two input text elements, each having their own key, let's say A and B, if we give this to B, if the target is B, then once we select a file, it will go directly into the second input text element. It won't touch the first one. Alright, that's target. And after target, we have the file types. So for file types, we have bracket, and then inside the bracket, we have tuples. So we can write, let's say, all files. And then this one is important. We use 2 stars. The star means anything is allowed. The first one is the file name, and this one is the file extension, also known as the file format. For example, don't forget to add a comma here, because you can add multiple of these tuples. I'll show you in a sec. So right now, once we run this, since all files, and then this is star, we are able to select any of the files. If we change this star to PNG, then once we rerun this, we are only able to select PNGs. The folders don't count. We are only able to select PNGs. Same thing with JPEGs. Once we select JPG, we can only pick JPG files. Now, if we keep this as a star and change the name, let's say W4T logo, now when we press file browse, we are able to see the JPG and PNG. The only restriction is that it says W4T logo as the file name. Okay, so this is one. We can add another one after this. Let's say all PNGs, and then we can do a star.png. Now, oh yeah, and don't forget a comma here. Now, when we click File Browse, we can choose between these different ones. And when we press only PNGs show up. Alright, so that's file types. And after that, we have the initial folder, another really important attribute. So if we first when we run this without initial folder, it comes to this one. If we want it to go into the pictures, for example, we only need to copy this file directory, and then we write initial folder R and do this. This is similar to finding images for the images element, and then now whenever we click file browse, it will immediately come to the pictures. Like if we go to somewhere else and then we run this again, it still comes back into pictures. Alright, so that's initial folder. After that, there are some of the more basic ones, such as the tooltip. Almost every single element has this. We rest our mouse in it, it says this is a tooltip. And after tooltip, there's the size. We can make it really big. 30/30. Don't forget an equal sign here. And now this is a really big button. Alright, let's change it back to none. And after the size, we have the auto size button. We talked about this one before, so I'm not going to go into that much detail. And after this, there's the button color. That's right, button color. This changes the background color. So if we change this to like a word red, then the background is now red. It still works the same though. Alright. Next we have the enable events. We talked about this one a lot, so I'm not going to go over it again. And then we have the font. Font, not tooltip, Times New Roman. That's the font type. And then the font size, 15. Now it will be a bit bigger and a different font now. And after the font, we have disabled. If disabled is true, then this button is no longer able to be pressed. It's gray now, the text. Alright, so let's turn this back to false and go on to the next one. Next we have the pad. We're not going to talk about this one that much. It's the left, right, up and down tuples. After the pad we have key, and we can call it like browse or something. And then here we can add another button here. Let's say just s.p, press OK, and over here let's do if event equals OK, then we print the values. Like values, we print values. This way, after we select something and press OK, we are able to see the key. The key is browse. And then in A, we have nothing. In B, we have this. So we successfully changed the file browse key into browse. Okay, so that's all of this is to be able to select one element at a time. What if we want to select multiple? Like if we want to select all three of these, then we simply change one letter here. We can change file browse into files browse with an S. And then this way, when we run it, we are able to select multiple. And now it's all in here. In order to separate the photos from one another, they use semicolons like this to separate them. And next one is over here. And there's none at the end. Alright, that concludes lesson 32 of my PySimpleGUI course. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. And remember, Work code succeed with work for tuition's lead.